That bit, and then where'd it go? Hey everyone, good morning. Welcome to Slow News Day Morning Edition. My name is Steve Boyk, and I'm hanging out here in Central California. And wow, it's gonna be a hell of a show this morning. It is December 27th. Hope you had a Merry Christmas or a happy Boxing Day, or if you're like Kamala Harris, a joyous Kwanzaa. Saw Adam pop in for a second. It looks like he's trying to figure some shit out. While he's doing that, gonna be spending some time here this morning with Adam Kokesh. He is recently released from his winter break in activist summer camp. Looking forward to hear it all about that. I'm going to run through the business super quick, and then we'll bring Adam up and get right into it. That QR code in the corner of the screen is Matrix Bars. Matrix Bars does sponsor the show. I say nice things about them because they're accurate, and they occasionally send me a package or two of these here things. 3.5 grams of psilocybin mushrooms per delicious chocolate bar, 4 lovely flavors, including s'mores, which are just dank, dude. They really are. Strawberries and cream, which shouldn't taste good by any reasonable measure, but somehow does. Phenomenal. Go ahead and give them a shout. They're on Twitter and Instagram at Matrix Genetics, MATRAX GENETIX. The regular donate links are all up and running. Please do hit those up if you can. Gonna be a complicated winter coming up here for everybody. So every little bit helps, including sharing the links. If you fucking tapped out, dude, I totally understand. But do proliferate them links. We appreciate it. And with that, let me go ahead and bring back up on screen again, returning to the show, my friend and yours, the one and only Adam Kokesh. Hey there, sir.
Good morning. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know you'd have me on vertical orientation if I did it that way. Let me fix that. To be polite to your audience. Yeah, it's yeah, man. The 12 days of winter solstice ended for me on December 21st this year with an epic victory getting out of jail from Saguache County, Colorado. Still recovering, still getting back into my routine after 12 glorious days of solitary confinement. But I'm back in my cat. I got my pipe. I got my dogs. I got my wood stove. And man, it's good to be back in the land of the freeish.
Your reception kind of went to shit there. You're a little bit stuck on the screen. You went out and you came back. I did get the jail sucks. You have your edibles. You have all of that, and it's good to be back.
Am I clear now?
If
Am I clear now? I should be good on StreamYard with this setup. This is how I do my show.
Your audio's better.
Interesting.
Maybe it just needs to like pull itself together, or you're getting fucked with. I don't know.
Well, hey, welcome to the modern world. Sounds like there's a bit of a delay. Let me refresh this.
Okay, that's fine. It's wild, dude. I woke up. I guess what 8th or 9th of December or something like that. The first thing I saw was that Adam had been yanked out of his vehicle and was locked up. Let's check it out. It looks a little better. Oh man, it was like super clear there for a second. Now it's on a hella lag. I don't know. Say something.
How about now? How about now?
Keep talking.
How about now?
Keep going. I think it's man, that's fucking weird. Usually you're fine.
One more try.
We've done this a handful of times. I'm not entirely sure. I'm really not, man. Let's see. Let's remove that, Adam, and see what happens if we bring this one in. Let's kick that. No. Okay. Huh. Well, we do it live, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to find out what happened to his arm because I had heard broken arm like first thing in the morning and it freaked me all out. I got super pissed off. Definitely wanted to hear about being allowed to legally possess psilocybin in Colorado, apparently drive around without a license plate or a license. That's a bummer. I'm sure we'll figure it out. I will hit him up. I don't know, one way or the other. Let's see. What's he saying here? Sorry about this, y'all. All right. Well, hopefully we'll figure it out. He's gonna restart all of his shit. Try again. He was without his phone for 12 whole days. It was in the hospitality and care of the Swatchy County, Colorado Sheriff's Department. I don't know. I'd want a new phone. That's for sure. So we'll figure it out. Adam's going to try and restart all of his stuff and hop back in. In the meantime, another friend of the show, dude, like in the same week that Adam goes to jail and my truck gets torched, Kriston T. Harris has the Airbnb that he's staying in broken into, where he'd been, I mean, you guys know Kriston. Um, he crowdfunded to get out to New York just specifically so he could cover the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. I'm gonna pull this up here in a sec. I'll just pull up the website. That's what I'll do. He's supposed to have come on. We've been having a hell of a time. There, that actually looks way better. I'm gonna bring Adam up. We'll get to Chris.
I apparently just had not smoked enough cannabis this morning to clear the signal. Everything good now?
Much better. Yeah, and I'm gonna have to join you on that too, because I feel like I haven't either. I was able to take a couple of bong rips before we went live, but some camera issues on my end too. Yeah, a little bit further behind from where I need to be. I was just telling the folks at home the same week that you got pinched. Our friend Kriston T. Harris, who has a show called The Rundown, Rundown Live, was out in New York covering the Maxwell trial. His Airbnb was broke into. The closet door was torn off. The thief went by all kinds of expensive equipment and all kinds of nice shit and grabbed just the laptop where all of his research notes and all of the stuff that he had put for the weeks that he had been leading up to going to cover the Maxwell trial, and he had backed up the vast majority of this and had done broadcast on it and, had a lot of the footage other places. But it has been, it's been, and he's one of those people that's more of maybe not more of, but as much an activist as he is a journalist. It's been a wild month for it. How's your arm, man? How's your arm? Because I wake up in the morning, the first thing I see is that you're in jail with a broken arm, and I'm like,
reports of my injuries seem to have been exaggerated in a game of telephone. But no, I did think that my forearm might have been fractured when I was getting moved in the jail, when I refused to get off the steel bench that I was handcuffed to, and it took 4 sheriffs to pry me off to get to the handcuffs before I kind of gave in. And
perhaps we should back up.
They threatened to pepper spray. Well, let me back way, way, way up, because when I was in jail, I had a number of epiphanies, as is often the case. But
I've had a few.
In this case, there's one that I thought, you know what? I'm going to want to talk to Steve about this. There's something I've been grappling with for since the beginning of COVID. Because before COVID, I was very confident in my model and theory of human progress, of 2 steps forward, 1 step back, of a generally exponential experience of us getting less violent every day, of the systems of coercion and exploitation becoming less and less relevant in our lives. And then COVID happened. And I don't mean the virus, I mean the hysteria and the policy. And what we've seen is not just oppressive policy around COVID, but along with that, a radical increase in censorship, especially online, obviously. It's very disturbing, it's very troubling, and it's completely independent of the virus and the virus-related policies, in the sense that it's just the excuse. We could have exactly everything happening with COVID that's happening with COVID and not have any censorship. right? We could just have obviously you and I know that an open conversation would fundamentally change what we do about COVID, but it is a sort of separable issue. The powers that be using COVID as the excuse are creating this set of policies of censorship online. Google, Facebook, Twitter, government policy, across the board, mainstream media. If it challenges COVIDism, this excuse to submit to authority, to believe in authority unquestioningly, then then it doesn't deserve to be said. You deserve to be censored. You are not a responsible human being if you say something that questions that policy. You've experienced that. I've experienced that. Being censored by Joe Rogan, even, but YouTube being banned on Facebook, shadow banned on Twitter. I'm very excited that we have Telegram, t.me/Adam versus the man. Please, Telegram, find me there. Get on Telegram, conscious messaging app, consumer of information. Put your effort in composing your brain where your principles are. It's like put your money where your mouth is, in very different, better terms, right? But no, if you're going to say I'm going to be a conscientious consumer of information, if you're listening to the show, like really fucking, and I'm sure Steve talks about this on a regular basis, but like, be a conscious consumer of information, just as you should be conscious of what you put in your body, what you put in your brain, and how. So don't let they, them, those control your narrative, control your news feed, and Telegram is a great way to take the power of that back. So I'm not going to get into it too much, but you can subscribe to channels. It's a separate secure messaging app that works over data, that does calling and video call. It's not a for-profit business. It's essentially a nonprofit, the way it's functioned so far. And I highly recommend it. So please find me there on my channel. I have my current letter to the county that I would like everybody's help with this week, at t.me/Adam versus the man. So find Adam versus the man.
That's a fantastic letter too.
We'll get to that. We need the narrative for. But yeah, Odyssey, for a video hosting site now. We are
live streaming on Odyssey at this moment.
Yeah, Odyssey.
No, check this out. Check this out. Let me brag about this for a minute, man. Because Sleepy Josh, our tech ninja, Josh we trust, in 2019 was like, hey, library, way early, library is building out this platform called Odyssey. Sign up for it. Here's the link. So I signed up for it, and I did what I did with Rockfin. Absolutely nothing for 6 months. And then we started getting smacked around with censorship extra hard. This is before the coronavirus. I mean, we were doing all the Assange stuff. My channel, As Slow Newsday, would always stream the Assange vigils too. That's just putting a giant target on your channel in the first place. Whatever. But started talking at the same time to like Nico House and Jason Burmis and a couple other people about Odyssey. And so pre-2020, we had all, decided, yeah, this is a good idea to get on it. And then we started getting a little evangelical about it, just because we saw what was coming down the pipe. In January, man, me and Burmis had a conversation at the end of the month because they had just announced the Rona. And we're like, oh, holy shit, look at the time. Huh.
Yeah.
Seems like
let me get back to let me get, of course, you and me are going to get sidetracked talking about free media and censorship and all that. But no, let me, because that's just one point, right? To this bigger epiphany is that aside from COVID, the censorship as a modern phenomena under COVID, but then the COVID policy itself, the oppressive nature of that. And then I would say, look at how they're fighting Bitcoin and crypto, but more importantly, look at how financial power, because that's what it is. Money is power. When you talk about this massive scale, when you talk about fiat currency, when you talk about money by declared value that's backed up by force of arms that controls governments, right? We're talking about the several dozen or 100 richest, most powerful people in the world. You want to call it the elites, the super class, whatever. All of the acts of desperation that we're seeing now are not routine parts of the system that is designed to get the rich richer at the expense of everybody else. What we are seeing right now over the last 2 years, accelerated like never before, is this obscene concentration of wealth at the very top. And I'm not here to advocate anything other than absolute voluntarist free market interactions for mutual benefit, win-win relationships between human beings. When it's government imposed currency, there's a massive win-loss, and the loss is everybody who was forced to use the dollar, and the win is the super class, the people who are the profiteers off of the system. And it's not just like the billionaires. It's almost more, rather than by the scale of your wealth, how you have gained it. And all the way down from the asshole bully cop up to Jeff Bezos, it's profiteering off the coercive, violent nature of the system. And when
In
I
both
see,
cases, often nepotism too.
right,
Because
oh yeah,
Jeff Bezos's
Jeff Bezos
grandfather was the first director of DARPA. Not
and Bill
there's not
Gates,
a ton of
yeah,
people that
yeah.
yeah.
The modern face of the billionaire class would like to present itself as bootstrap entrepreneurs. They are fucking not. Like, they're all,
To a person.
even Elon Musk, for all of his, I genuinely believe that Elon Musk is not completely full of shit. He has some genuine good humane sentiments that are very libertarian, that are very peace and human progress oriented. And he's, I think he's got so much in front of him and potential. I would hesitate to pass judgment on him. I almost put him in a unique category, but the Warren Buffetts, the Bill Gateses, the Jeff Bezoses, all the people behind BlackRock and Vanguard Holdings, all those evil motherfuckers, the Rothschilds, the Warbucks, everybody in that category. You know who I'm talking about. And their wealth is going up on paper, and their control of the conversation is going up in terms of views on YouTube and mainstream media eyeballs. But I think if you step back, you can see that these are relatively superficial things that are being blown up to make it look like they're still in control, because that's always been what it's about. And if
So
anything, what we're seeing,
real
hold on,
quick.
this is
Okay.
the conclusion of this is that they're on their heels. They're running scared. They are desperate, and they know their time is coming to an end, that the systems of exploitation that they prey on or use to prey on humanity are no longer tenable. They're not sustainable. They're coming to their end of their lifespans as part of the human experience. Those rackets are falling away because we are on the verge of an era of enlightenment. And it is driven by the internet. It is driven by conversations like this. It is driven by technology empowering people to live by our principles much more efficiently and effectively than ever before in human history. To have not just the capabilities of independence, but the networks of interdependence, of voluntary relationships, of communities, and of networks. And an enlightened people cannot be oppressed. We are on the verge of a great victory of pushing back. And I think that was, for me, very much validated by my experience facing down a felony 2 charge of, like, a week ago, literally less than a week ago. I got released on the 21st. I was in jail. It was my 12th day of solitary when they came to me and said, case dismissed, we're letting you go. Oh, and by the way, we're going to give you your truck back and give you a ride to your truck with it and all of your personal effects back, and make sure you have them, and you're not going to have to pay for the impound of your truck. Just as close as an apology as you're going to get from right from law enforcement. But yeah, I did 12 days in solitary, beat a felony 2 charge for distribution of psilocybin, and I think 2 misdemeanor charges for driving without license plates and without insurance.
We need a soundboard, and we need an audience clapping for there's something little like I fought the law and I won kind of thing. The clash, should have had that queued up. That's my bad. I was trying to interrupt you to tee you up because Michael Malice has one of my favorite quotes about that shit. It's that being black pilled means looking at a picture of Klaus Schwab in the mankini or the Star Trek suit and believing that they'll win. That's what being black pilled means. So that's one of the biggest possible white pills you could have, is looking at these ridiculous fucking goons and believing that they're somehow destined to win. No. And I was making more or less the same points you were yesterday to James Lindsay, who goes and plays in much more conservative and mainstream spaces, and trying to plant all of these seeds in all of the possible communities that could reach larger people, because hopefully they go home and think about that shit. Hopefully they and start picking up some of the books that we've been waving in front of people for 20 or 30 years, and it's in a period of acceleration. This is happening more and more and more, and I find it highly encouraging. I do.
Well, I say this as an author myself, as much as books are a great gateway, and you have to have a certain, understanding of the reality in front of you, a certain knowledge base to your own satisfaction, to your own worldview, to make the switch. But the victory is in the moment that you decide you're going to be one of the good guys. And and we get to share that, and that's really important to, I think, understanding the nature of the struggle and being based on love and compassion and uplifting humanity, that it can't be about fighting or resisting, maybe in some superficial ways, in some small battles to make a point here and there, sure. But in the bigger picture, it's about sharing that enlightenment. And that was so powerful in my experience, even recently in my interactions with the sheriff deputies and the staff at the jail in Saguache County, and even, in an abstract sense, with the DA, with the judge, with the 3 police officers who were essentially responsible for my arrest and violating me in so many ways on the side of the road. So let's run down the narrative real quick to catch people up, because I really do want to get to this letter.
Well, and the whole thing starts with a cop shooting an armed citizen who had just himself stopped a murderer, in essence.
Well, if you want to say it starts with that, we got it. That's going way back.
I feel like Johnny Hurley should be mentioned at any point. We can work him into a conversation. So that's why I do. But the audience knows.
Johnny Hurley was a friend of mine, concealed carry weapons permit holder, as a responsible citizen to defend himself and his community. And he was in Old Town, Arvada, on the day a would-be mass shooter, decided he wanted to kill as many cops as possible. shot and killed one cop, and then Johnny Hurley intervened and took out the shooter, and then was killed in a case of mistaken identity by cops showing up at the scene. And it even if it's what the cops say happened, uh, it's a symptom of shoot first, ask questions later. Even if it was a mass shooter and you were 100% dead certain the individual you were pointing at was the mass shooter, if his weapon is not pointed at you, it's pointed at the ground, you yell before you shoot. And if he raises it, you pull the trigger if that's what you have to do. Absolutely. There is that point. I'm not denying that. But there has to be absolute responsibility in the application of deadly force. And it is not shoot first, ask questions later. It is positive target identification. It is the very last resort of violence and intervention to use deadly force. And Johnny Hurley did it righteously. And the cop who showed up did it irresponsibly. And it cost Johnny Hurley his life. So I was on a road trip that started for me in Utah, coming north from Arizona to Salt Lake City for the Utah Libertarian Party 50th anniversary event, where I gave a speech called How and Why to Be a Fucking Pirate. Arr! And then up north to Northport to the Canadian border to visit some friends, where my radiator and heat gave out in my F-150, which is now known as the Black Pearl, that nigh uncatchable pickup truck. And drove down to visit my father for his birthday in Wyoming. It was very cold. And then through Colorado to visit friends who were also close with Johnny Hurley and are active with We Are Change Colorado. And it's getting over reported in the press as coming from an event for Johnny Hurley, and it wasn't. It was me going to pay my respects on the site and to see it. And I picked up a rock as my material connection to the event, and I wrote Hero Hurley on it. And I offered to buy dinner. I just sent a message to the Telegram group of We Are Change Colorado, like, hey, if anybody wants to join me, I'm going to be here, and I'll buy y'all dinner and say thanks for your work, and telling Johnny's story. But then I was driving home from there, and it picked up an ounce of mushrooms in capsules along the way, and got pulled over in Center, Colorado, the town of Center. And it was supposedly a normal traffic stop. And a lot of people look at this and go, was he targeted? Did they know? Did he set this up? And it's like, no, but I'm kind of like, now that I think about it, since I decided to be a pirate, at least, I've kind of lived my life as a continuous Fourth Amendment audit. A First Amendment audit is you're walking into a government building, video, to be like, do you respect the First Amendment? I'm kind of always walking around with some kind of contraband to be like, yeah, fucking come at me, bro. It's been LSD, actually, most of the time recently. I carry a fanny pack mainly to carry dog treats and keep my phone a little bit away from my skin, and I get to keep like a purse, like a man purse. I'm fanny packing. So I got my fanny pack.
Not here to judge, my friend.
For the last, I don't know, like I guess a few months ago, I was able to buy 50 hits of LSD for $100. It's amazing. It's such a good deal. $2 for a tab of LSD.
That's some back in the day. And really, I mean, never mind. I'm not going to get into that whole conversation. That's a much.
Yeah, no, we don't have to get sidebarred on that. But it came to me in a like a baseball card, collector's card slip in between two Magic the Gathering cards, and it was John Lennon's face on a 5x. It was half of a 10x10 sheet of John Lennon's face, and I just been carrying that around in my fanny pack for like months, and I left it at home for this trip for some reason. I kind of should have had it on me, but one of the things that I'm applying legally is the religious exemption, being a member of the Oklavueha Native American Church and a self-proclaimed Wiccan. And in an odd sense, that argument legally applies to naturally occurring substances, not synthesized or synthetic substances. So not pushing the LSD versus pushing mushrooms or cannabis, where that's still a thing, or ayahuasca or DMT even. I feel a little more righteous, and it's a different legal play. I don't say more righteous.
It's the one they made in Santa Cruz, because Santa Cruz effectively decriminalized all entheogens. So
right, and
any plant-based
entheogens, as
psychedelic.
in yeah,
Yeah.
and I think the legal distinction is it a naturally occurring
Plant-based.
substance?
Yeah.
Is it plant-based,
Yeah.
or is it, there's some, an entheogen is one classification of dividing it, but like this is applied traditionally in Native American communities to peyote, obviously. But really, if you want to be consistent about it legally, you have to have it apply on principle. And it's, if you say that I'm doing this for religious purposes, and the scale and scope of it is contained in such a way that it's not including financial remuneration or anything of that sort, then I think it's pretty safe legally ground to stand on. But you can beat the charge, but you can't beat the ride. So anyways, I picked up psilocybin in the caps on this trip, and when I got pulled over for not when people say, was he being targeted, I don't think so. I think it was kind of a like 3 or 4 1 in 100 kind of events in a row, right? But part of it is
I've
just
had those.
You got to be the right guy in the right place and time to be ready to capitalize on the opportunity to confront evil, as I was presented with the opportunity. And the first thing was on the side of the road on the traffic stop, pulling me over for not having a plate, which has happened. In fact, it happened on this trip earlier on my way through Flagstaff, on my way to Salt Lake City, and I got pulled over for not having a plate. And the officer was like, I showed him my ID. I said, I don't have a license either. My license was suspended. He said, well, let me check. I'll get your name and your number, or your birth date. That's how they get you, ID'd in the system. I'm not trying to hide my identity. No, not doing that. And the VIN, he checked the VIN on my truck, and I have the title, and he checks the VIN, and in their system, my name's associated as the owner of that vehicle. So I'm not challenging that. But I'm done paying for my rights. That's a line. I'm just, fuck it. That's a matter of principle now. If it's my right, I'm not going to pay for it. I'm gonna demand it, and I'm going to act on it as my right, not let you turn it into a privilege that I have to pay for. So he gave me a warning and said my license had actually been reinstated because there were too many suspended licenses, that the state of Arizona in September just had to batch reinstate like tens of thousands of driver's licenses. And I was like, well, fuck it. If you tell me I have a driver's license, I guess I have one, but I don't care, because I got a 35-year license when I came to Arizona. So I have a feeling it's going to be suspended and unsuspended a few more times before driver's licenses are no longer really a relevant thing, because we're getting past this one way or another, mostly with self-driving flying cars. But until then, no, I'm not going to pay for the privilege of moving, of traveling on roads that I pay for, with the gas tax, with all the other taxes that I pay, that I have paid. No, that is the common mode of transportation that is your right to access. No, I'm not going to pay for that anymore. So when I got pulled over in Colorado, then I did the same thing. I said, hey, here's my VA ID. I have a license. It's in the system, but I don't have it on me because it was confiscated the time before that I got pulled over, blah, blah, blah. And I said, do you have a plate? I said, no. Do you have, and that was it. And he goes and checks and comes back and says, you have warrants. And I go, yeah, I know they're not extraditable. So, whatever, give me a ticket. Let's get going. I was polite and normal about it. And then he said, you know what, let me double check in the system. And he called and said, came back to me and said, no, it looks like your warrants are extraditable and Texas is going to extradite you. And this is old drug charges that I've settled that have like kind of haunted me in the system, but shouldn't be there in the first place. Although one or two of them might be legitimate for like a bench warrant that I never resolved, but apparently they have expired because as a part of what we figured out in this whole ordeal is that none of them are actually warrant or open. All of my warrants are closed. So when I got pulled over, they looked it up in the system and said, "Oh, you have warrants," and like either deliberately misread them to fuck with me because they thought I was going to be a victim, and then I just bond out and pay the system and blah blah blah. No, and take some plea, and they could bully me into a plea. So this is again like the 1 in 100 thing. Driving through center Colorado, super rural Southwest. Are you really likely to get pulled over for not having a plate on a pickup truck? Probably not. So that's a 1 in 100 kind of thing. The warrants, another 1 in 100 kind of thing. Are they reading? Is that their excuse? Is that just how the system works there? You got some dickheaded person in center police department dispatch who's like, let's just err on the side of saying these warrants are open so we can take him into custody and have another victim here. And so they had some other officers show up. 2 sergeants came for backup, and they said, your warrants are extraditable, and we're going to search your vehicle. And I said, why did you not consent to a search? And they pulled my dogs out, and they brought a drug dog, and they opened it up, and they found the bag of mushrooms there, or of capsules. And again, like the probable cause generator, the dog didn't, the dog hit on the door. Like it really, okay. They didn't use the dog to search. They just used the dog as the excuse to tear up my truck. And I was on a road trip. I had luggage. And I was on my way home. I had all sorts of other cool goodies. So like they really tossed my truck. They pried some panels out even when they did a thorough search later. But they put me and they took the dogs into custody, my girls, Thelma and Louise. And separate story for them is they were left outside over a very cold weekend in Colorado in the middle of December and got a little frostbite on their ears. But that's fucking animal abuse. There's no excuse for that. And so we're pursuing some action there. But fortunately, they were picked up after a couple of days. I got taken by a sheriff's deputy as a courtesy to the center police officers. He was in the area, gave me the ride to the Saguache County Jail. And I want to say, for all the stuff that I do in this and that I advocate for resistance and noncompliance, one, side of the road is not the place. If you are in a traffic stop, do not physically resist. The police, by pulling you over on the side of the road, unless you are completely away from traffic entirely, but even if you are, what they are initiating is a stop based on, I see how you're driving and I'm threatening you with deadly force in order to stop you in your travels. Already that is setting up a heightened confrontational situation where police are likely to do something squirrely, to get nervous. They are trained to escalate in situations like that. And if you are anywhere exposed to other traffic, you are putting other people at risk by heightening the danger in that circumstance. Don't do it. Verbally resist, maybe if you can keep it calm. But the moment they say, no, sir, you need to get out of the car or we're going to pull you out of the car, don't put your hands where they can see them, right? But don't move, don't make any sudden movements, and let them cuff you and put you in the back of the car. Until that, like, you're not resisting passively or actively at that point. And I don't want to say never. I'm sure there's some crazy circumstance where you can do so if you know what you're doing to save a situation or life and limb, but know that you are taking on those greater risks. And I almost blanket across the board, do not advocate for anything there. But when we got to the jail, I told the guy who was driving, I was like, look, I'm not cooperating with this anymore. If you want me in that jail, you're going to have to carry me in. And so he got another dude and they carried me in. And I basically from that point on said, all right, you're going to take care of me. You're going to feed me vegan. You're going to give me medical care. You're going to give me my drugs. You're going to give me blah, 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 like everything I'm entitled to, books, pencil, paper, library access, everything. I'm a pro se defendant. I want legal phone calls. I want my phone call now, but I'm not going to, like, anything that was their game, not going to play. Like, I'm not going to put on a jumpsuit. I'm not going to wear oranges. I'm not going to fingerprint. If you grab my hand, I'm not going to punch you. I'm not going to hurt you. I might resist. You know, I might make a fist. But like, and at one point, I held onto the bench that I was cuffed to and made them pry me off of it. But I made it abundantly clear, I'm not going to hurt anybody. But you guys are criminals because I'm innocent, and I'm not going to help you in this criminal endeavor. And I was just stuck to that the whole time. And if you're afraid about going to jail because of some medical thing, it is often taken as the reason to submit. Oh, well, I'm diabetic. If I don't get my shots, I'm gonna be fucked. If I don't get my proper diet, or I'm dependent on this prescription medication. If I don't get this, I'm gonna be in immense pain. And it's tempting to say, well, then I better submit and just beg for medical care. And actually, you're not more likely to get taken care of that way than if you do what I did and say, that's nice, but I need you to know that I have a medically sensitive situation. And until this is addressed, I am not going to answer any questions. I need to talk to an attorney. I need to talk to my medical provider. I need to talk to your medical staff. I need this diet. I need an extra mattress. I need these prescriptions. I need this medical attention. And until I get that, I will not play any of your games. You're actually more likely, if you're friendly and respectful, to get what you want by doing that. And it's true on the bigger picture too. So Saturday they came, that was Friday. And at one point they said, oh, guess what? Turns out your warrants are not extraditable. Whoops. And the officer from Center PD is going to come here and write you a ticket for the other charges, and then we're going to let you go. And I was like, yeah, that's more like it. And then they said, oh, never mind. He's not coming. You're going to have to go to the judge on Monday. I was like, all right, let's dance. And they came to me with bond on Saturday because I was able to call my dad, who got messaged to my Telegram group. Please join us there again. Adam versus the Man on Telegram, t.me/Adam versus the Man. And got word of my girlfriend, Joey Lee, GI Mary Jane, great activist in her own right, did an amazing job of jail support and coordinating with this. They came to me with bond on Saturday because they got together $1,500 and convinced a bondsman to drive down from Denver. So I had the option to get out right away. But in order to do that, I would have had to do a couple of things that my conscience wouldn't let me. And one is to accept that my freedom is for sale or that can be held ransom. No, not doing that anymore. No, I mean, I don't want to say never, but like, no, if I don't have to, no, I'm not gonna let you sell my freedom to my friends for even, the $1,500 cost of a $10,000 bond. And I'm not going to sign papers that even acknowledge your authority to do that. That's the other thing. Like, really, I'm going to submit and say that you can, that because you've kidnapped me, you can ransom off my freedom. Like, no. And to acknowledge the charges. And when you bond out, you're signing papers that say, I agree to blah, blah, blah. And I'd be, part of me would say, I might just say, fuck it. Like I did with the lingering charges in Texas, essentially. Like, fuck it. I'm not going to respond to their warrants. I'm not going to show up for court. They're going to figure it out eventually, and they're going to take it off their books. That's what they did. So like, it's not worth the trouble. It's really one of the great tools of the system to entice obedience rather than force it by tricking people into thinking that obedience is easier, that it's the path of least resistance because there's a certain confrontation in resistance, but it's actually less overall. Jumping ahead, obviously I beat this in 12 days. That was so much easier than taking bond and then dealing with this legal headache for months, and then maybe having to submit or negotiate or plead a probation or even just jump through their fucking hoops to have one of their bullshit trials. But that was my ultimate backstop in jail. And eventually they figured out, oh yeah, this fucker's serious. Yeah, I'll sit in solitary confinement for up to 6 months to demand my right to a speedy trial. That's the standard of a speedy trial for this, 6 months. And I'll pro se take this to a jury trial from solitary confinement. And it's going to cost you way more than it's worth. Let's fucking dance. So I rejected bond on Saturday, and Monday they came to me and said, it's time for court. And I'm laying in my bunk naked thinking, if they really want to drag me to court, they can drag me to court. But when they said, do you want to go to court? I just said, or they said, they don't ask, like, they said, sir, it's time for you to go to court. And I said, no, thanks. They just laid there and said, yeah, no, thanks. And I guess they would have figured, the judge would have figured out, but no, guilty until proven innocent in this legal system, not a justice system. And she said, oh, well, I guess we'll just reschedule for Wednesday. So 2 more days, sentence, boom. And so I wrote a letter to the public and to the judge directly that basically said, fuck you. I'm not even going to enter a plea. They don't plead with evil. And what you are doing is evil. The way the system operates, not you as people, never going to cross that line and condemn individuals, but the actions, the system, it's fucking evil. And what I was doing was righteous. And I admitted to it that I was distributing psilocybin. Now, legally, I'm not crossing the line of this was intended for this here and that, and I'm not selling it. I'm giving it away. I'm sharing personal sacrament and medicine. And I basically said, yeah, I'm not disputing the facts here. Fucking come at me, bro. Let's dance. And when they came to me for court Wednesday morning, I said, can I have a legal call? And I called Joey and I recorded myself, or she recorded me and released me reading this letter from Captain Freebeard. And it was it started with a joke. When the deputies asked me, they said, what's your name? I said, Captain Freebeard. I just legally changed it by proclamation right now. You will call me Captain. And they did. It was hilarious because at one point, I'm going back and forth with one of the deputies, and he's after I took a leak, they uncuffed me to go to the pisser, and he's trying to ask me to come back to the bench, and we're having a little back and forth, and I'm like, dude, you're not even in charge of this conversation right now. And then they said, get back to the bench or we're going to carry you back. So I just sat down on the bathroom floor and made them carry me back to the bench. So I just maintain that separation of, if it's taking care of me, I'm going to talk to you. I'm going to be friendly, and I'm going to ask for my rights. I'm going to ask for a hygiene kit and a roll of toilet paper and a shower. But I got 2 showers in 12 days. The rest, I was sink showering, splashing water on my head and scrubbing down with a washcloth. I was in a 6x9 cell with a steel bunk, a toilet sink combo, and a door with a window about the size of a sheet of paper, with bars across the top half and an opening in the bottom half to slide food trays. That was it. The whole 12 days, I spent less than an hour and a half outside of that cell for 2 showers, a meeting with the public defender who's not representing me. I say pro se, for a phone call and for a conversation with the sheriff himself. That was it. It was more than a normal solitary confinement lockdown. And it was kind of by choice because they said, all you got to do is book. And I was like, no, thanks. The one other time I left my cell, I walked, and it's their building is such a dangerous joke of a county jail. I walked outside around it to their library, which is like 2 bookshelves and a disastrous little supply closet, and got books to read. But yeah, other than that, I was in my cell. I worked out, got decent food, So I sent this fuck you letter when they came Wednesday after I made that call and recorded it, and I knew that it was out publicly. They came to my cell again and said, Mr. Kokesh, it's time for court. And I just said, no, thanks. Can you pass this letter to the judge? And I was laying in bed naked. And I reached up to the hole in the door, and I was like, yeah, here, take this letter. That's my response to the judge. And then Friday, after meeting with the sheriff and the public defender, I wrote a formal motion to dismiss. I was writing on binder paper in jail, but I formatted it properly and I put the case number and addressed it to the judge and blah blah blah. And it was the top of the page was like proper legal document, and there's all the reasons that the case should be dismissed, primarily relying on the actual right to travel as a right, not a permission. That I have a right to travel without a license plate. And the insurance thing, I was never actually asked for insurance. And I do believe, in a sense, in responsible insurance. If you're going to drive, like, you're putting yourself in, like, there's a certain logic behind it. I hate the way we do it. There's the punishment shouldn't be you get, your privilege of driving taken away for driving without insurance. But no, that you're financially liable for damages. We don't have a system that holds people liable for that. And that's one of the reasons that we have such a distorted legal incentive system in the United States as well. So I sat out the weekend, and Monday, the jail captain, who I had met when they were all trying to push me into taking bond Saturday, came and was like, we're going to have a meeting with you and me and the sheriff and the DA probably tomorrow. And I spent all day getting ready for that meeting. And then they came to me at 3 p.m. with a piece of paper, all charges dropped, case dismissed. We're not going to file. And I was like, well, shit, that's the meat of the victory right there. But I wasn't going to let them hold the Black Pearl hostage at that point, because one of the reports we got was saying that in order to get my truck out of impound, I would need to present driver's license, registration, proof of insurance, and pay for 12 days of impound and towing. Because it was over $1,000 easy. That's one of the ways they fuck you in this, like petty shakedown. Anybody who's ever been, arrested for a traffic stop and had to deal with getting their car back, it's dumb. It's a racket, absolutely. But I won on that count too, because the sheriff deputy came into my cell, because I was adamant about this the whole time. I even at one point was like yelling, not yelling like screaming, but like in his face through the door and through the little hole in the door, telling the captain, like, every minute that I spend in this box, your tab is going up with me. And I want my truck back. I want my drugs back. I want my dogs back. By then, my dogs have been picked up and gotten taken care of, fortunately. But I said, you're not going to make, what are you going to do? You're going to dump me on the sidewalk? And they knew there was a spotlight on them from all of the call flood. And, thank you to everybody who promoted that or called in or sent an email to let them know that we had people watching this case, because that was absolutely critical to the strategy here in this victory, and winning as fast as I did. 12, like, I want to say anybody can do this. But doing it as fast and beating it as decisively as I did, that takes having a lot of good people behind you. And I want to be that force for other people who are arrested in these situations. And I've always done my best to practice jail support when there are righteous cases and chances to get the police state to back off or the system to back off. So that was absolutely huge and really felt inside the jail. And when they came to release me, I did, like most inmates go, oh my God, I'm out, let me get my style. And I'm just like sitting back going, I don't know about this. Let's see. Because you're going to still have to convince me to leave this jail cell. And I've done this before. I've actually crawled and wedged myself underneath a steel bunk in jail in New Orleans when they were trying to get me to leave. And I refused to help them get me out of the jail. I made them carry me out, and undress me, take my oranges off, and put my civvies back on my naked body on the floor, and then put me in a wheelchair, put my personal effects on my lap, and dump me on the sidewalk in New Orleans. And this was only, and what I was basically demanding there was a piece of paper that said there were no charges, and I got one. So even after getting one, there was follow-up. I wanted a better piece of paper, so I still made them carry me out of the facility. So I was ready to play that game, but and do it naked this time, and not let them even clothe me. But the sheriff, the sergeant who came to me, he said, "All right, man, yeah, we're gonna take you to your truck." I was like, "Okay, well, that's a nice courtesy." I said, "Hey, I'm gonna get it back." Like this isn't some trick. Like you're gonna drop me off at the towing yard and then put it on me. He's like, "Yeah." It's like, "No, we're gonna take you to your truck and you're gonna get it back." And I said, "For free?" And I squinted at him like, "Really?" He said, "Yes, we're gonna take care of it. Sheriff's Department's picking up the tab." And I said, "How do I know I can trust you?" And he just, "Have I lied to you yet?" And I didn't know it. I'm like, if this bites me in the ass, at least it'll be a good story. But no, he was of his word, and they extended that courtesy. I got my truck back for free. It was still tossed from Center Police Department going through it. Interesting stuff. They took my cannabis out of the containers, weighed it, put it in an evidence bag, and gave it back to me. So we're saving that. That's getting framed. They gave me the bag, and it's a really cool little hologram baggie. It was sealed that the mushrooms were in, but not the mushrooms. So yeah, just it is so reaffirming of that bigger epiphany. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but like government came at me with a felony too, and I admitted to it, both publicly, privately, to the sheriff, and I stared them down and said no. And they said, "Okay, you win." So now that I know all the ways to manage and deal with that liability, I'm at least comfortable saying, yes, I will be growing, and we are growing and giving away mushrooms for free here in Gardenia, especially to veterans who are guests of our nonprofit Homefront Battle Buddies. So yeah, welcome to the new front of the drug war. We are winning. The people on drugs are winning the war on drugs. And
I swear to God, Sleepy and I were listening to some old Bill Hicks yesterday. Ice House in Pasadena, 1989. He walks out on stage. He's like, "I've been on the road for 5 years, so bear with me while I plow through this, all right?" And then just proceeds to kill it. And did that bit. Did that exact fucking bit. Oh, does my heart.
What is, yeah, the bit is, what's going to happen when people do mushrooms? I mean, how are they going to keep the war machine going when we all realize that we're all one? Oh my God, it's going to be a disaster. It's going to ruin the country. How are they going to convince people to make the bombs and the guns and the bullets? We have to keep mushrooms illegal, right? That's it. That's the gist of it.
What I enjoy about all of our conversations, Adam, no, the entire time I've known you, they're always positive, like no matter fucking what, like, and that is so encouraging in the fucking cartoon, because that's what people forget. Like, yeah, dude, we might live in a fucking cartoon, but that gives you opportunity to do what would normally seem like outlandishly cartoonish shit, and because of the laws of the cartoon, it works out. About you
this,
caught the anvil. You caught the anvil and you threw it back, and they didn't look.
I mean, it's metaphors kind of fail to describe what I just went through, you know, of 12 days in solitary to stare down government and get them to back down on a felony too. And
Lord
why
Jones
is
would
this
have an
possible, right?
anime reference.
But why is this possible now? It's because it's a victimless crime that the people won't tolerate the system being used for when you really hold it up to scrutiny. And that's like, I had to go through that to bring that scrutiny, and I had to show them that I had the commitment that if I had to do 6 months in solitary and be a pro se defendant and take it to a jury trial, when psilocybin has been completely decrimmed, I shouldn't say completely, but you know, small personal possession, whatever, decrimmed in Denver County already, like just a few 100 miles away or 100 miles away or something from where this was taking place. That Oregon has decrimmed all drugs for personal possession. That Oakland County has decrimmed, I think, entheogens is how they did it. There are a couple other municipalities throughout the United States where, as a matter of enforcement policy, excuse me, they're essentially decrim areas, you know, and people know that and they enjoy that much less of a brutal experience with the police state. But on the issues of, you know, right to travel, right to privacy, and right to medicate, or right to recreate, right to your bodily autonomy, as in that, because that's the crux of the drug wars. You have a right to put what you want in your own body, as long as you're not hurting anybody else with your actions after that. Like, yes, it doesn't matter if you're on drugs or not. It's not okay to hurt people, but to hurt yourself, if that's what it is, or to enhance yourself, you have the right to do that without anybody forcing their opinions or judgments of that on you at all. That is an essential human right. And that comes down to, yeah, you have the right to do mushrooms, and veterans have the right to medicate for PTSD with however the fuck we see fit. And that shift has occurred, made it possible for me to do what I did in this spontaneous act of civil disobedience, of saying, no, fuck you. I'm not going to bend. Not going to bend an inch. Come at me. I'll bear it. And I will bear it to expose you. And you will back down because you are wrong. And I have the cost benefit analysis clearly in my favor in a way that the public can see, and eventually they will hold you accountable. And by the way, I mean, like, if this goes to a jury trial, I mean, and I get the platform of that, basically nobody involved has a job by the end of the next election cycle, because I said so. That was the power they gave me. They gave me the power to embarrass the fuck out of all of them, no matter what. Like that, I had that. They gave me that. And I used that to say, you're going to back down. And they did. But now I'm also in a whole other exciting position to bring lawsuits against them for wrongful arrest and false imprisonment, violation of rights, physical injury, mental heart, or, you know, emotional anguish, blah, 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 like everything. And and this county is about 6,350 population. That's it. It's tiny. So for me to go, haha, give me $100,000 for this and this and this, and even if I, you know, negotiate it down and their insurance paid for it or some shit like that, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't. So, like, what's that worth to them? I was thinking, like, this is my big card to play now. This is my negotiation leverage for justice. You know, how can I use it for maximum good? Because I don't want to take that pound of flesh from the people of Saguache County. It's not going to make things any better for them.
No.
I could put that money towards good, but it would still be a massive burden of confrontation and waste of effort on their part legally and so on. So I said, like, what's commensurate value? What do I want to see done? So I sent a letter, and you can see this at t.me/Adam versus the man. It is the pinned message there right now. It is our call to action. G.I. Mary Jane actually wrote that up, the call to action post there. we want you to. So I sent this email on Christmas Day to the three. Their county is so small. They have their county commission is 3 members, and so I sent this message to the county DA and the or excuse me, it's district DA who oversees that county, the 3 county commissioners, the county sheriff, and the chief of the center police department. And so this is the Kokesh Christmas letter, and there's a lot more to it, but there are 13 demands, and I'm asking for just $2,400. And for doing 12 days, $2,400 is pretty modest. I'm not even asking for compensation for that. It's $2,400 for the material damages done to my truck and the logistics costs of dealing with all this. So then all the records, discovery of the case, body cam, correspondence. I'm asking for my psilocybin back. I want my case was dismissed without prejudice, which means they could bring it back. I want it dismissed with prejudice. I want an affirmation from the system here that I have the right to do this. But then I get into the actual reforms. Never jail anyone in the county for simple drug possession ever again, and adjust policy everywhere relevant to ensure it never happens again. Yes, Saguache will be a decrim county on par with policy in Oregon. Yeah, and this is one of the big ones. And I'm open to negotiation here, or when I hear back from them, and I'll be calling and following up if I don't hear from them. But is it worth it for this county to give up just that little bit of the police state at that level? If I bring to bear scrutiny and the threat of $100,000 in lawsuits? Oh yeah, it better be, because if they say no to this, well, I am going to sue them. I am going to make a big deal out of it, and I am going to make sure that the people of their county see that they're carrying on these policies that aren't in their best interest. So anyway, I have some requests about jail reform, making rights better respected in policy for inmates, compassionate booking process, a veteran liaison position. And here's another big one, number 9 on the list. Immediately release everyone in the Saguache County Jail who is there for victimless crimes, unless you have a specific reason to believe they are an immediate, clear, and present threat to the community. Now, this sounds like a really big deal. And in principle, it is. And if it was Denver County, it'd be unrealistic. Denver County would be like, here's $100,000. Piss off. Right? And I'd be like, no, okay. Saguache County, we're talking about a jail with a capacity of about 20 inmates. So we might be talking like 3 or 4 inmates who are on like a 30-day sentence and are going to get released 15 days. But in principle, if we can get them to do that, it would be epic. And one of the reasons that's actually, I think, reasonable in Saguache County that they would do this is their jail is overburdened and underfunded. And that's one of the reasons it's such a shitty experience, both for guards and inmates. So respect right to travel and policy. And then here's my favorite on the list, number 11. Have the 3 officers responsible make a personal written apology to my dogs, Thelma and Louise, for the abuse they experienced, with a commitment to all dogs that it won't happen again. Yeah. Adjust policy to ensure animals seized by law enforcement are treated humanely, of course. And then the last one on this, number 13, send a copy of this letter to every law enforcement officer in the county and post a copy in the bulletin board / employee notice area in every government building in the county until every item on this list is completed. And then it ends with, I'm open to negotiation if, and all the policy adjustments that I'm requesting are compassionate revenue policy reforms that are in everyone's best interests. I'm open to negotiation and revising this letter. So, if they want to get on specifics with me or have me sign something that says I'm releasing liability specifically, like, we can put that in the writing here. If they can't put it in every government building, but maybe every sheriff's department building and the courthouse, something like that. Open to negotiate in the commissioner's chambers. Yeah, I'm open to negotiation there. But it ends. I look forward to hearing from y'all one way or another. But if I don't, you'll be hearing from me. Yours truly, Captain Freebeard, friend of humanity, freedom, brother to freedom lovers, aka Adam Kokesh, February 1st, 1982, former sergeant of Marines. Again, not hiding my identity, but if you want to help with this effort and send an email to all the people who I sent an email to, it's in the letter. It's on my Twitter at Adam Kokesh. It is also pinned in the group Adam versus the Man, our channel on Telegram, t.me/Adam versus the Man. So anybody who could help out with that right now, greatly appreciate it. General recruiting pitch, if I may, before I forget here. Still doing Adam versus the Man. Looking forward to getting back into that with a regular show Wednesday this evening or this coming Wednesday, and then posting videos for Man on the Street stuff on Odyssey 4 days a week. Love to have help with that, with our social media distribution, with what we're doing here with the homestead, just building out my homestead and my various, home businesses. A lot of opportunities here. And then, yep, that's the letter. Yeah, I put the Captain Freebeard logo that a fan channel created on the top there. I like the logo.
I didn't have Telegram on this particular computer, so I had to download it and open it up real quick.
And so we're going to be hosting mushrooms retreats here, one way or another, and also with our veterans nonprofit that is a registered C3. And just to be clear, the Veterans 501c3, in order to actually legally, lawfully be a 501c3 tax-exempt organization, is merely the facilitator, creating a safe environment for veterans to explore whatever alternative therapies they might want. And it's really not just about, getting stoned in the woods and doing psychedelics and having life-altering epiphanies, but comprehensive personal empowerment for veterans as part of the program here. But really for anybody who wants to be involved. I've always taken the most pride in being accused of being an activist's activist. So yeah, we figured out some interesting stuff recently, and how to beat a felony too for psilocybin distribution. So it's opened some very big doors of perception.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking all right, my friend. It is. My hat's off to you. I know you said you could only stick around for about an hour. We went over a little bit, which happens.
Well, I love talking to you, and I value the opportunity to talk to your audience in particular, because I know it's a lot of activists and people who can get off their ass when they see an opportunity.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I always value your perspective, and we should talk about what are the implications, because I think now it's like let's push harder than ever. I had a moment in jail of total despair after declining bond, going, fuck, I might be here for 6 months. I might end up being here for, I wasn't really, I didn't know what the sentencing guidelines were. I just saw felony 2 and was like, it's probably a lot, but I didn't want to look. It's kind of like, you're less likely to fall if you don't look off the edge of the cliff. So I didn't find out till I got out that main charge was 8 to 24 years. And as a convicted felon, like, I could have gotten 24 years, but I was like, yeah, I could be here for a few years. I might end up having to bail on this whole effort. And I felt really alone. And, then I was able to know that, well, that GI Mary Jane was there on the outside, and that the producers club on my Telegram was behind this, and that people were calling in, and the guards were telling me about that. And, I felt that. But, I went through that moment of despair where I thought, maybe I'll just retire after this one, and limit my liability instead of manage it and leverage it. And, I'll send a letter to everybody. I was writing letters in my head to people who were like major donors, like, I'm done. Thanks for giving me a shot. I'm going to pass the torch, and I'm just going to, do the veterans nonprofit. To me, retiring is still like a pretty active, awesome life. It would have been, managing the veterans nonprofit here and having my homestead and, making art and music and babies and that. But I, at some point, realized like, no, these people are desperate and
desperate and wrong.
It's a powerful illusion that we the people are losing, and it's just an illusion. And even people like you and me who have our heads in the game way too much for our own good, trying to understand this and figure it out. This is like the big existential questions I was asking, like, how much is it genocide policy with the vaccines versus just monetary power corruption? Like, and wringing my hands and like, trying to figure out a Rubik's Cube. And I'm just, no, you know what? The best way to solve this Rubik's Cube is to just peel the stickers off and put them back on so that, don't play their fucking game. It's a losing game. Toss the Rubik's Cube and get on to living well. And it wasn't just an affirmative understanding epiphany of like, oh yeah, that narrative fits my facts better than, oh, well, yeah, we were winning for centuries and things were getting better. And then COVID came and the good guys lost. Like, what? No, this is the generation where the pirates finally win and overthrow the crown. And that's our generational leap of progress that's right before us. It's still a great time to be alive.
Yeah, there's a couple other men o' the sea that I need to get you in the same room with, and we all need to talk about voyaging. Yeah, we'll talk later. We will. But man, let everybody know. Aside from the Telegram channel, like, let them know how they can support the Battle Buddy program. Let them know what's going on, like, with that specifically.
Yeah,
because we try to try to keep an eye on the forefront of research in that area. Amanda Solda, who's with the Psilocybin Institute, is going to be coming on here soon. We were supposed to get together a couple of months ago. They got crazy. But yeah, always trying to be around. And the next time you go to Colorado, you got to hang out with Rich Airy.
All right.
Yeah, the Airy brothers are badass.
So for Homefront Battle, like, I have 11 acres in the mountains of Arizona near Ash Fork. You can look it up. It's about an hour west of Flagstaff. Beautiful country, great climate, mild winters, and summers that just get uncomfortably hot for a couple of weeks. It's a wonderful area with tree privacy, down 3 miles of private dirt road, the last quarter mile of which is Ma Road that built and is actually a private road that legally I am the only one with access to. So that's pretty cool. And we need help building the facility and building the organization right now. So we've got a multi-purpose room that's a Butler Hall for Smedley Butler that's going to be a gym and yoga meditation area eventually. For now, multi-purpose. We're building a barracks that is going to be like a lodge room with a kitchen, dining, meeting area built in, and then a row of single rooms off of that. So for veterans having a group experience for a week-long retreat, you can come and have a space to yourself that's quiet and be able to stick your head out the door and yell to someone who might be your trip sitter, who's your duty guy in the main hall, and be able to provide veterans with a really powerful experience in week-long retreats. We're building bungalows for individual weekend mushroom experiences. So there's a lot going on in that realm in making mushrooms specifically, but alternative therapies in general, more available in practical ways for people. And
Hell yeah.
so there's, for that, you can reach out to me directly, adam@thefreedomline.com. Battle Buddies is homefrontbattlebuddies.org. And from homefrontbattlebuddies.org, you can email our general inbox, which is homefrontbattlebuddies@gmail.com for now, until we get to the next level of email organization there, of course. And you can donate there. We need money to build. We need money for operations. We need money to staff up. We need money to build this incredible facility to make possible this vision and these experiences for veterans. And then for everybody else, of course, that's part of how this model grows out. But if you want to get in contact with me for more serious donations or for projects or for volunteering, adam@thefreedomline.com, please. And we need help even physically on the ground, donations of materials. We can give tax deduction receipts for all of that. So yeah, I've got a lot of stuff going on, and anybody who wants to reach out, please do. We need all the help we can get right now.
Hell yeah. Well, I think I'm gonna wrap what I think I'm gonna do today, because the show is now like Sunday through Thursday, and I've been having a lot of guests on, so I haven't really done like a news show since last week. I think I'm gonna come back in a handful of hours, maybe later this afternoon, to just do like a solid, 2-hour rundown, because holy crap, but there's so much shit that went down just in the last handful of days. But
I was
really
actually
wanted to have this
how little
conversation.
has changed. Maybe it's I've been doing this for too long. I've been reading the news, reading through the lines, with the Matrix code in mind for too many years. For I guess a decade and a half now, I've been involved one way or another. And but like I disappeared for 12 days and got out, and I pulled up Drudge Report again. I'm like, did anything happen while I was locked up? No, no, just it as far as that mainstream narrative, it's gotten kind of boring and predictable. You get on the other side of that and see the progress that humanity is making, and the news and crypto
That's
and
what the news
technology,
show's about.
and saying, fuck you to the man. We're gonna do mushrooms if we feel like it. Like there's a whole other world of news.
Yeah.
Better
No,
way
I
to-
mean, that's kind of the format. Like, we'll go through like some of what the crazier people are saying, and then show all of the shit that is going on. And I really try, like, I think this is the year where we really see legitimate effort towards parallel societies and parallel structures, and people who are consciously weaponizing counter economics as a nonviolent weapon of war. And or at least that's what I'm trying to put out there, and that's where I'm headed with it.
Excuse me. Yeah. No, I ran my battery all the way down. I'm trying to keep it unplugged so not any more technical difficulties.
All good. I'm wrapping up anyway, brother.
All right. Well,
But
then let me say goodbye before I get kicked off here.
for sure.
Thanks, everybody. Peace and love, y'all. Mwah.
Hell yeah, Adam Kokesh, man, always good to see him. And yeah, that's gonna do it now, because I could go like another solid hour and a half on just what's in the queue from really last week. It really is encouraging every time that guy comes on the show. It is. So I'll come back later this afternoon. And we'll do a late day morning edition, because why not? And yeah, all kinds of good stuff coming up. It's gonna be very interesting year. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. If you missed the talk that I had with James Lindsay yesterday, please do go check that out. Already making people mad, which is good. If at all possible, please do throw a few bucks into the GoFundMe, Cash App, PayPal, Buy Sleepy Josh Coffee, buymeacoffee.com/Bort, BORT. We love our tech ninja. We got t-shirts, truthclothing.io. We're in the partners section under Slow News Day. So is T-Lab. Ryan Christian, Last American Vagabond. They got good stuff over there. Check them out. At Matrix Genetics on Twitter, Instagram, QR code. Whitney Webb is having a baby. She's on maternity leave. When she starts doing interviews again, of course she's gonna be back on the show. But yeah, I've got Memory Hold episode recorded. That's gonna be released this week. I have a fucking killer conversation that I had with Amber King from Roar Media that I'll be putting out tomorrow night. Lots more Memory Hold episodes underway. I've got like a 3-parter on the Milgram experiment that I'm starting to put together. That's going to be incredible. Yeah, lots of good shit going on. Only way we could do it is with your support. Love the hell out of you for it. Stoked we got to do a full show on YouTube, and we will see you soon. Big thanks to everybody for hanging out. Thanks as always, Sleepy Josh. Big shouts to Glory Jones. See you soon. Good luck to us all.